Impact Audio presents Scalia by James Rosen. Read for you by John Mclain. Meg Scalia Bryce. After his death, when people described him as larger than life, he was. And he was that way to us. Rosen. And he was cognizant that he was that way, right? Meg Scalia Bryce. Oh yes, oh yeah. I mean, he was putting on a show. But it was a great show. Interview by the author, August 2nd, 2017. Book 1. I Will Rise. Chapter 1. Little Nino. It is good to know where you came from. It is even better to know where you are going. Antonin Scalia, 1999. On the evening of September 17, 1986, Constitution Day, the United States Senate voted unanimously, 98-0 with 2 senators absent, to confirm Antonin Scalia, a judge on the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, nominated by President Reagan as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. That the nation's highest court, America's most powerful symbol of freedoms guaranteed, would soon be seating its first Italian-American justice, a landmark event, was largely overshadowed in the news. For on that same day, despite a ferocious opposition campaign mounted by Senate Democrats, the chamber had also voted to approve the elevation of Associate Justice William H. Rehnquist, seated on the court since 1971, to Chief Justice. Scalia would assume Rehnquist's old seat. The bitter confirmation of the Chief Justice, by a final vote of 65-33, the largest opposition tally ever sustained by a confirmed nominee to that point, meant that Rehnquist, a demure, dry-witted Wisconsinite and a poker buddy of Scalia's, would succeed stately Warren Burger, Chief Justice since 1969, now retiring. The Democrats' assaults on Rehnquist, on his veracity, integrity, and racial sensitivity, were accompanied, de rigueur, by the exhumation of documents and witnesses from a quarter-century earlier, most of them familiar from Rehnquist's 1971 confirmation hearings. Conservatives called it the Rehnquisition. Against this backdrop, Scalia's swift, effortless confirmation drew little attention. The assessment of the news media was that Scalia's ascension would not alter the ideological balance of the court. Some observers, however, understood immediately that Scalia's personal characteristics, his unique combination of intellect, literary skill, and affability, would make him a major force on the Supreme Court, as the Christian Science Monitor reported. Through his considerable powers of persuasion, Judge Scalia might wind up altering the balance, and thus the outcome of close decisions. In reaching court decisions, he is widely viewed as repeatedly seeking to try to find a middle ground, in the phrase of Judge Abner Mikva, a liberal colleague for 4 years on the Court of Appeals. He calls Scalia's approach collegial, and says the appointment is going to be good for the institution of the Supreme Court. For the newly minted justice, a self-described Italian boy from Queens, the unanimous Senate confirmation marked a moment few men experience: supreme vindication, unopposed descendance to the pinnacle of his profession. He would shape American law for the 21st century. The one problem at the moment was getting a hold of him. Nino, as family and friends called him, was a social beast. On the evening of the vote, he was out on the town, attending yet another of the suffocating black-tie events that pass for nightlife in official Washington. This one celebrated the forthcoming bicentennial of the Constitution. What? In the White House and the Department of Justice, where Scalia's nomination was being managed by a small team of Reagan administration officials already frazzled from the Rehnquisition, having to worry about the judge's whereabouts was enough to stir unease. At the time of the vote, the president's men liked high-profile nominees to stay close at hand, twiddling their thumbs with their spouses in some
Sample complete. Ready to continue?